Hi everyone, it's Eric from ecartman12.blogspot.com bringing you my review of Mirror's Edge for the iPhone, iPod Touch and iPad. This is going to be an epic review, so sit back, grab some popcorn and enjoy the show. Mirror's Edge is set in a futuristic society. In the game you play a runner named Faith. Runners are used as couriers to transmit messages while evading government surveillance. Concept for this game. Mirror's Edge is a game that was originally released for consoles by EA and was actually a first-person game. Instead of shooting or fighting your way through levels though, the game encouraged you to run away and use many acrobatic moves to escape. The game was most known for its unique gameplay and awesome art style. The iOS version is not a first-person game but a 2D side-scroller in which the objective is to run as fast as possible through the levels, maintaining speed and taking down security. There are a couple ways to play the game. Players play their way through the campaign, and once completed, you can play time trials in which you basically replay the levels and beat your fastest time. I'm not gonna lie, that is very addictive. Controls for this game. The controls for Mirror's Edge are great. Now to run left or right you simply swipe left or right, to jump you swipe up, and to slide you simply swipe down. To climb up a wall you must swipe up before you make contact with it, and you do this repeatedly to wall jump in the later stages. Also when you jump off a building you swipe down before impact to roll and you will come out of the fall undamaged. That's how you make Faith run. Now let's talk about combat. Now there are a handful of ways to attack enemies. Whilst running you can swipe down to trip them, you can swipe forward in their direction to disarm and take them out, or you can use a combination of swipes like up and forward which will utilise a jump kick. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I will say right now that the attacks are limited and throughout the game you will wish for more. Time for the design for this game. The visuals for Mirror's Edge are decent to say the least. They do capture the look and feel of a 2D side-scroller as well as the art style of the console versions, but they do look a little dull. They lack detail and are begging for high saturation. The sky in the background looks very nice and colourful, but the rest of the game needs more colour to partly match up to the console versions. Also, the enemies you fight lack variety. You are essentially fighting against the same enemies again and again. So the game looks decent, but it lacks textures and saturation. Time for the bad aspect. Now I liked the combat in this game. It is simple and easy to utilise, but it's just a little bit too simple. You only have a handful of attacks at your disposal, and at first the combat is great, but when you do it over and over and over again, it gets really boring and downright tedious. Also, the combat is not as satisfying as the attacks in the console version. I am not asking them to pull off something revolutionary here, but I would just like more attacks or a counter system. Another gripe I have with this game is that it is only 2 hours long. I am dead serious. You can beat this game in next to no time, and there is nothing that will bring you back except the speedruns, so this game is dying for extra content. Also, another thing I didn't like was that the story is briefly told in text. Why didn't they just use cutscenes? That would have been much more interesting than reading some boring lines of text. Cutscenes would have told the story much better than the text did in this game. Time for the good aspect. Now one thing that amazes me about this game is that the console version does not overshadow the mobile version. What I mean by that is normally when you look at a console game like Batman Arkham City, you think the game looks amazing but you don't have it and you have to stick with the mobile version, which is in no way better. That is the console version overshadowing the mobile version. Mirror's Edge, however, is not overshadowed by its console counterparts, so you can enjoy playing it without wanting to play the console versions. Another thing I liked was the controls. They are great, albeit a little clunky sometimes, and on the iPhone or iPod Touch you feel a bit claustrophobic, but in the iPad version you won't experience that problem. Also, here's a hint. Instead of balancing yourself on these, just jump and roll, and that will save a lot of time and keep your speed going. So the controls are overall great. I also love the music. Granted it's taken out of the console versions, but that's what's so great about it. In conclusion, this game has good graphics, nothing to shout home about, decent gameplay, short campaign, low replay value and very limited content. So I give Mirror's Edge for the iPhone, iPod Touch and iPad a 6 out of 10. If you want a good action side-scroller on your iOS device, then this is worth picking up. So that wraps up the review of Mirror's Edge. If you guys liked it, please thumbs up, comment and subscribe. It's free for you and good for me. Thank you very much for watching, and until we meet again guys, have a great rest of the day.